This is my journey of going to virtual reality church. Before you ask, this was a mistake. My beard is gone. And before you say something, no, I'm not Eddie Burback, and I'm not trying to be him. Although, if it helps me get subscribers, maybe. Virtual reality. What does that even mean? I'll be completely honest. I wasn't sure what it meant because I had never really experienced it until the other week. My good buddy Shama, friend of the channel, is letting me borrow his Meta Quest, but he's letting me borrow it for a very specific reason. There he is. Shama, hey, do you, first of all, have internet that isn't like this? But second of all, can I please get your Meta Quest from you?
This is the only internet I got, buddy. Yes, you can, dude. I'll mail it over to you.
Okay. How do you feel about me using it to visit a VR church?
The only VR church I know of is Life Church. I've seen them on Instagram Reels.
It's not. It's not that one. This one.
Is it worse?
It's. I will be attending in a furry costume, so that's what it is.
Okay. Well, when the Bible said, the whosoever believeth.
Were we including the furries?
Furries were, I think.
Here's my thought on it is there's a lot of warnings against wolves in sheep's clothing, but what do they say about men in wolf clothing? You know, there's nothing about that.
Wow.
I will say your internet's atrocious, but I'm gonna let you send me your Meta Quest and we'll see what happens. Now you're clear at the end of the call. VR Church. That's right, we've moved way past YouTube and live streaming, and now we've moved into the Metaverse or into VR chat. I don't understand what any of this really means. I saw a lot of videos of people going to these virtual reality churches, and I'm thinking, what does that even mean? So I figured that I would go to one. I'm going to attend a VR church, but I'm too scared to go into it alone, so I'm bringing along someone. First up, we have PD Bachman, another friend of the channel who does the Survivor draft with me. The second person we have is Christian Ryan, friend from church, to give me a little perspective about can we feel like we're there in person when we're not? I need to do some preparation and possible reflection of myself before I dive headfirst into the metaverse. I didn't mean for that to rhyme. Okay, so we're going to explain a few things very quickly before we dive headfirst into virtual reality. I think we need to start with a quick history of virtual reality, so here's a rundown. Around 1838, we had a guy named Charles Wheatstone that he invented stereoscope, showing how two images viewed independently by each eye can create kind of a depth of field situation that feels three-dimensional. And then in like 1929, we see something called the Link Trainer, first commercial flight simulator that was developed by Edwin Link, and that used some motion and visual cues to create a virtual flying experience. Through the 30s and 40s, we see a lot of science fiction start to take off, things where people could, see some sort of world that they weren't actually in these books and television shows. But by the mid-20th century, we start to see things shift a little bit more. In the 60s, we see a multi-sensory simulator that provided kind of an immersive experience using visuals, sound, and vibration. And then in 68, we see Ivan Sutherland and his student Bob Sproul developed the first head-mounted display system, which was a very rudimentary VR system that was connected to a computer. So we see in the 80s and the 90s that video games are starting to like this idea quite a bit. And in fact, we see in 1993 that Nintendo released what was called the Virtual Boy, which was a 3D gaming console, and it flopped really bad. It didn't have any color, it was a low resolution, and people were really concerned about the health and what happened to your eyes. That brings us to 2012, when Palmer Luckey was launching a Kickstarter for the Oculus Rift. and it really reignited the whole interest in VR. And then Facebook bought Oculus in 2014 for $2 billion. Wow. We start to see other major companies releasing VR systems like HTC and Valve, PlayStation, which is owned by Sony, and then, of course, Meta Quest, which is just the Oculus stuff, but now owned by Facebook, aka Meta. So yeah, that's basically where we're at. VR is here, and it seems to be here to stay. All right, now that brings us to VR MMO Church. That is the church location that we will be attending. That's all in air quotes. You just can't see them. Now, every bit of information about this I'm getting from their website, vrchurch.org. You can go and see what they believe. We believe God loves all the avatars of the metaverse. We believe each avatar is a real person with a real story. And we believe everyone is welcome to church, even if you don't believe in God. When you go to their FAQs section, you start to see some things that might be a little bit concerning. You know, for example, it looks at like, how can you baptize someone when you're not physically there? A very, very fair question, considering baptism is a very important thing in the church. But you also see them address the idea of being non-denominational and what does it mean to be decentralized. I think the main thing that I gather from their website is that they don't really know what they believe. This seems to be kind of concerning. They have varying views on politics, varying views on sexuality, varying views on salvation and how things work. But then they really just say, hey, that's okay, we're just going to keep on meeting up. I'm just not sure how that's going to work, especially in a virtual environment. Now let's talk locations. They've got one for VR chat. That's the one that we're going to attempt. They also have it for Rec Room, which is another metaverse. And they also have it for Final Fantasy XIV. That was a twist. And of course, you can hop on Discord or Twitch and watch it. When we go to the Metaverse Elders, this is who we see. We see DJ Soto, we see Alina, we see Carrie, and we see Zach. Each of them seem to have a different focus on a different metaverse, so to speak. It looks like DJ Soto is kind of over most of this, and then we have Alina that seems to be in quite a bit of leadership. It also says that Alina started a charity giving VR headsets to those in need. Huh. Hey, I know you just asked me for cash so that you could pay some bills, but I can give you virtual cash. Does that work? So yeah, if you want to dig around a little bit more, you can do that. But then if you want to go to a certain location, you would click on it and they give you the instructions on what time and how to get there and what they're looking to do when you're there. I guess we're going to be needing the details for VR chat. So I'll go to VR chat and look, and it's at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard. So we're going to be going to VR chat, VR church. It's been weeks, and we've run into trouble immediately. It's been a nightmare just trying to go to VR church. We've had disconnects, we've had bad recording glitches, everything that you can think of going wrong has gone wrong. I'm growing more skeptical of this as an avenue to even take part in church just because of these things, but I'm researching more about their teaching and them as an organization, and it's just getting weird feeling. But I gotta figure out how to find PD. That's the real problem. Oh, what am I? Am I already something? Oh, so myself and PD, we went to a VR McDonald's and VR chat to kind of get a rundown and gain some ideas, but immediately we had trouble hearing each other once we started recording. Can you hear me still? I can't hear anything, PD. Dang. Can you hear me? What am I gonna do? This whole experience is now something I feel like I've done for nothing. So then we would stop recording and we still couldn't hear each other. Well, PD could hear me, but I couldn't hear him, and it was a whole mess. So then I rebooted everything, I restart it all, and then we tried again the next Sunday. Myself, PD, and Christian, we all met up this time at a Wendy's, I think, and we met up as our avatars. PD was a robot. I can't hear you. I was a wolf, and Christian was a tiny little mouse. We still experienced more drops, more problems, and more issues recording.
Can anyone hear me? Okay,
PD.
I can't hear y'all.
Oh, I see you, but I'm locked up, dude. What? Oh no, I was here. But this time, I just kind of took the opportunity to get the lay of the land. VR Church connecting. So I ventured in, kind of explored, looked a little bit, but couldn't really get any audio. PD, this way. Oh, okay. I don't know what to do. Okay, so I just see, and that's when I felt really odd, because I was noticing, it would be like a hot dog next to me, and then it would be like a cat. Like that. Oh, thanks, Mr. Okay. Or it would be another strange, like, anime avatar at this church function. Here's one thing I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to run the aisles. Like, I'm a charismatic. So, I'm going to run the aisles. Ooh, I'm really doing it. What is happening right now? What am I doing? Is this the church? Okay. Welcome to VR MMO CHURCH. And I really don't know where PD is. This is the most confusing experience. I'm gonna go. Okay, they got some scripture on the walls. Let's go. Is this? What is it? I'm gonna wave like that. Nice, thank you. Hey, armor guy. So is this it? Is this what church is? Yeah. This is something else. So anyway, we didn't have a very successful 2 Sundays. So then our 3rd Sunday, we decided to go after rebooting everything and trying again. We got in the church building and we were still having issues recording, but then this really helpful, tall, giant child walked up to us. He basically started helping us with the audio issues, trying to walk us through how to record, but none of it was working still. And then next thing I know, he's like, okay, and walks up front, and he's the greeter of the church.
Welcome. If this is your first time, this is a real church with real volunteers in the metaverse. We are not non-denominational, Christocentric, where our unifying truth is Wait, how do I pronounce that again? Resurrected Jesus Christ Jesus.
Thankfully, they also streamed to Twitch, so I was able to get some footage, and as a wolf...
Wasn't able to today. Been playing around with it for about 20 minutes, I'd say. In just a moment, we're going to head right through this door here. Hello, Jonathan Wright. Say hi to the stream.
What's
we
up?
Just started.
What's up?
So we're going to head through the door.
Man, I'm so glad that I have that clip. So as weird and crazy as VR chat is, we just couldn't get it to work. We couldn't actually attend this church service. So it looks like we need to travel to a different metaverse. So that's when we downloaded Rec Room, because this is also one of their church plants that they have.
Welcome to Rec Room. For your first day, we have a quick orientation to show you what Rec Room is all about.
Rec Room seems to be a little more like kid-friendly. VR chat just is super weird, almost in a creepy way. Rec Room seems to be more geared towards just having fun, kind of playing some games with your friends. It seems a little more inviting. So maybe it's a good thing that we're trying a couple of different metaverses. We get the full experience. So PD and I hopped in on a random Wednesday and just started testing. I can still hear. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear.
Whoa, we did it, dude. Yes. I'll be honest. It's like I never thought I would say this, but I think I like the furry costume better.
Yeah. This is like it's not even Wii graphics. This is like DS graphics.
I look like I could be ready for a debate on like the Reformation or something.
And I look like I teach yoga.
Yeah, we'll say that that's what you do. You know, we are in a different VR now, but it's genuinely been just a complete nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, we've had to go to VR church more times than we should have. It's supposed to be a one-time deal. And then we couldn't. For some reason, VR chat hates us.
Yeah, it's like
this music is
Playmobil.
too loud.
Yeah, I'm like, can I do something about it? Like, here's our plan, PD. Right now, it is Wednesday.
And that's important. Let's underline Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday's important. And we've got to make it to Sunday. All right? So on Sunday, we're going to go to what we call VR Church. Okay? And I know that...
run out of space.
Yeah.
Maybe we could go check out an empty church.
Like my hometown, if you know what I'm saying. We went to this VR church location. I'm going to do VR Church HQ. Join public room. I mean, dude, this is kind of a vibe. I'm not even gonna lie. This is kind of nice. Can we like get in a car in this game? Like, is that a thing? Get in. We go to VR Church. Oh, there we go.
What's going on?
This might be nicer than the VR chat version of the church.
I think it is. The VR chat one just felt like this weird dystopian nightmare.
Oh, okay. Okay, I thought it was like a...
So
dude, I mean, this is beautiful.
Look at this.
I love... Beautiful. I don't know what happened to PD, though. This time... PD had the issues.
You started writing on that and my whole
Yeah,
thing crashed.
I'm like,
and then like
did you just crash? Are you there? Oh, he just died. The rapture happened. After PD got Infinity Ward right out of Rec Room, I decided to once again get a lay of the land for this coming Sunday. Our vision is to cultivate loving spiritual communities across the metaverse. Okay, very interesting. Everyone is welcome at MMO Church. Maybe this is the church family that we've been looking for. So this one is kind of a vibe. I don't know how to explain it, but it's kind of cool. Other than when I got stuck under a car. Something feels off about what I just did. So let me do that. Oh, dude. I'm stuck. I need PD's help. How do I get it? PD and I live pretty far from each other, and so we don't get to spend a ton of time hanging out in person. And this has been really fun. Just kind of talking to him in a little bit more of a casual way. I don't feel completely immersed in it, but I will say it feels closer to hanging out in person than if we were playing like an Xbox or a PlayStation game. Ironically, Christian and I live in the same town, and I've only seen him twice since we started doing this. So now we're prepped. We're ready to go. We are going to go to the Rec Room church plant of VR MMO Church. What was that sentence that I just said? That was so weird. All right, it's go time. It is Sunday. It is 2:30, and the infiltration is starting now. What am I saying? To be completely honest, my brain's tired because it's been a month of attempts. We've got the time from their website. We've got the details. So now we just need to jump into VR. Should be pretty straightforward. Or at least that's what you would hope, right? My MetaQuest would not update Rec Room. So I ended up restarting it. It's looking like we might miss church. I'm getting really stressed. How am I supposed to do this video? Oh, thank goodness. It's working. Let me find PD here. Please, please, please. Please work. Oh, dude. Okay, everything's working. Everything is in the right order. So now I meet PD in our virtual dorm. Christian might be late. I'm really not sure. Everything's a disaster. The timing's not working how we need it. All right, PD, it's questionable if Christian's going to make it to VR Church. We've got to go to the room, and then we're going to be placed into some sort of private service thing. Let's
yeah, we got to go. We're racing against the clock now.
Let's do it. I'm gonna hit the menu, and we're gonna go to VR Church. So here we go. So after collecting our thoughts, getting a plan in place, making sure we have the information, we head into the server.
We are going to VR Church.
Let's do this thing. You took this one last time. I took the Jeep. Yeah, let's do that. All right, I'm on my way.
All right, where is everybody?
So far, we're early.
We're in the right place, right? Yeah, VR MMO Church.
Yeah. No one is there, and we're early.
What time?
What time is it? 2:50. So naturally we're thinking maybe it's us. Maybe we're in the wrong server. So we start looking around and verifying some stuff. They said that they chill here for 10 minutes. Yeah.
You can find anybody.
Not active. We're in the right place.
Yeah.
Every Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern, VR Church Club Room. Dude, what if we miss it?
That would be rough.
VR Church Club.
Oh, you found it?
I think so.
Send me an invite.
We do find VR MMO Church Clubhouse, but there's also no one there. I mean, we're like 15 minutes early before they say that there's a 10-minute time where they all are just hanging out. What's in here?
Hey. This kind of looks like a strip club. Can I say that on YouTube?
Oh,
hey.
Oh, Christian,
What's
is
up?
that you?
Oh my god.
Hey, I don't know.
What is this avatar?
You kind of stuck up on us.
I thought you were like the bouncer who's gonna reprimand me.
Hello? I'm gonna look in the menus again.
I'm sitting down now.
Your avatar is freaking me out.
I guess I'll stay like this.
You're like if Gollum was from California.
I think this is the pastor.
The
Flash.
pastor is
Look at this.
DJ Soto. So then we decide, well, maybe we should head back to the original one that we were in, the headquarters, and see what's happening. Yet once again, nobody is there. This is where we stand. No church works, even when we showed up on time. What church do you go to that has the time to show up, you go, and not a single person is there other than you? Oh, hey now.
You know, where 3 or more are gathered, and in this case, it's a yoga teacher, a lawyer, and a barista.
Sure. There's no notice of a cancellation. There's nothing. So we goof off a little bit. Talk about it, try to figure it out.
Did we try the clubhouse?
We did.
We
tried the clubhouse. That's where we were at.
Well, maybe the video isn't about VR Church. It's about trying to get to VR Church, and then it
Well,
never happens.
technically we were here, but there is an element of it where I'm like,
Yeah.
like it has been so difficult to get in it, you know? And ultimately, I just decided to watch a service on Twitch right now. What a disappointment.
Oh, yay.
So we are talking about the big catch of fish. That's the name of the story. Like Jesus there's the birth of Jesus, then some stuff, and then he's in the desert. So that's not really something that's happening to people.
He saw at the water's edge 2 boats, left there by the fishermen who were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats, one of them belonging to Simon, and asked him to put out a little from the shore.
So you see already there is some kind of relationship between Peter or Simon. He's called Simon by then still. That he kind of is the professional in this. Peter knows that Jesus is not a fisherman, so he doesn't know about how this works. Okay. Bam. Bam.
I can speak now. When they had done so, they caught such a large number of fish that their nets began to break. So they signaled to their partners in the other boat to come and help them. And they came and filled both boats, so full they began to sink.
He sees something very different in Jesus. What is happening here, that is that the fish are actually coming before he finds out about this, before he does the repentance thing. Sometimes, especially when people don't know Jesus yet or don't have any faith yet, showing Jesus to people doesn't always have to mean that we... sometimes people repent by themselves.
There they go.
Boat's going out. Boat's going out.
And thank you all over on Twitch for joining us this fine Sunday. VR Church link. So if you want to find out more about us, who we are,
And that's when a question I had been wondering popped into my head again. We had already kind of wondered this. Can you tithe to a virtual church? If so, where's the money going? And what is the legal location for it? Also, who the heck is Bishop DJ Soto, and should we be attending? I don't know anything about this guy's teaching. Is this something that should be accessible to people? Are they a non-profit? And how how does that work with the government? This is when I knew I had gone too deep. Okay, guys, feel free to pause and come back to this because it's about to get pretty weird up in here, okay? I'm giving you permission. Now, if you want to keep on going, you can keep on going. We're going to keep on trucking forward. But I'm telling you, you can pause and come back to it. And there's going to be text on the screen so you can scroll right back to where you started. Okay, if you're still here, there's no turning back. What is going on with this VR church's finances? Okay, you've been warned. Let's get this thing going. All right, so yes, they do take tithes. You can actually go on their website and see where they take online giving. And some of you might not know this, but I actually worked for a company that helped churches get online giving. And there's a lot of documents that churches need in order to be able to accept donations. And a lot of those documents I had to understand how to find or how to look up, right? And it's government stuff. So they seem to be using Planning Center, which is a provider of this, and that's pretty common. But in order to have this giving, you have to have a government tax ID number. A tax ID number is basically what each of us have as a social security number, but for a business. And it allows for the government to be able to associate taxes and documents with that business and to know how to tax them or not tax them. Thankfully, they put their tax ID right on their website. I'm not going to show it on here, but you can go to their website and find it. Now, you might be wondering, Jonathan, is it okay for you to be talking about this publicly? Yeah, because it's actually public information and it's required to be. When a company is a non-profit, they are taking the public's money as donations. So when they submit paperwork, you can go to irs.gov and look it up because the public needs to be basically informed on whether it's safe to give to these people. So the public can discuss it as well. That's what's happening here, but I'm also not going to dive too crazy deep into it. So what information does the public need to look for to make sure that a non-profit organization or a church is safe to give to? Well, first of all, let's get this very clear. A church does not have to submit this paperwork. They're exempt from these things because they are a religious organization or a church. However, if a church doesn't do a return or doesn't really give these things over to the public, it can be kind of a weird sign and a bit sketchy because you're not being transparent and you're not being accountable with the people who are giving. So I'm about to list some tax stuff. It's okay. Typically, a nonprofit in the United States needs to submit what's called a 990 form or a 990 EZ. A 990 EZ, you submit it each year and it shows some reporting on where the money is going, salaries, expenses, different contractors that might be getting money. A 990N is a little like electronic postcard that you can send in if you've made less than $50,000 as a nonprofit. But here's the catch. Who's to say if a nonprofit doesn't make more than $50,000 or if they do make more than $50,000? They're exempt, so they don't even have to really prove it. Anyway, let's look at some of the paperwork that they did submit. I can only base things off of what is there and what is not there. So we can see in 2018 that they actually did submit a 990 with details. In this, we see that it says Bishop DJ Soto worked 50 hours a week, and he did get paid for it. That kind of goes against the unpaid thing on their website, where it says that all of them are volunteer and that they don't take money. But he got about $1,990. But then if I scroll up the form, I see that that doesn't line up with the total. You see that $2,132 went to salaries and benefits and things like that. But to who? Because only $1,900 of it is accounted for with DJ. The salaries take up about 34% of what they brought in 2018. They really only brought in $6,151 in 2018, but that seems to be the first year that they did any of this. 34% of it going to salaries is kind of a lot for a church that says that it's completely volunteer-led. Now, is that a trend that continued on past 2018? I don't know. It could be, it could not be, but we really don't have the transparency to see. What we do know is that a lot of nonprofits can get away with paying people but not paying people. You can do things as gifts. So let's say that you have someone that's working and you're like, well, I want to gift them $1,000 every other week, but it's not their salary. There's really not a way that you can hold someone accountable unless they report it. But again, I have no clue if that's what happened here because there isn't transparency about it. As far as expenses go, we see that $2,745 went to independent contractors and fees. So maybe world builders, but if there are world builders for those maps, then what is DJ doing with his 50 hours? If DJ is doing that world building and the volunteers, then what is this money? As far as fees, I mean, websites are pretty cheap, and VR chat is free, and Rec Room is free, and Discord is free. Streaming on Twitch is free. I mean, maybe they're paying somebody to update their website. But when I go on the Wayback Machine, I see that they've really not updated their website but maybe 6 times in this year as of filming. And they weren't really drastic changes that would take hours and hours of work or 50 hours of work. Maybe some of that goes to internet bill to pay the people that are on the internet. The main idea I'm saying is what's happening with their money, we don't know because they don't put anything really out there because they aren't required to submit more out there to see. Not to mention that I noticed on these returns that it wasn't DJ that was the treasurer or the person heading it up. It seems to be his dad, and that his dad formerly worked doing nonprofit stuff with the government. So, I mean, he knows what he's doing. We don't see anything on their website regarding outreach other than giving VR headsets to those that are in need. Is DJ still getting paid? I don't know, but what does DJ really even do? Because every time that I went in, I don't think it was him speaking. I mean, if there's no transparency here, it's already kind of a red flag for me. I don't know that I would feel comfortable giving money to this organization. So in order to understand whether or not I'm comfortable supporting it, I need to look into the teaching of DJ. What is he saying and what are his thoughts around money, his thoughts around scripture? Let's find out. Basically, there's this Wired article about DJ where he is originally at a mega church called GT Church in Pennsylvania. And then I believe he got a fund to go and do a church plant. There wasn't really much detail around that. Church planting is really difficult. The church I worked at does church planting, and it's not easy. Sometimes people get on these ego trips where they think I can lead a church and they go to do it and it completely breaks them down. It breaks their families down. It's not an easy task. That's partially why I'm so skeptical of a VR church, is that it just feels dirty to say that it's a church plant when in reality it feels kind of lazy. Anyway, in this Wired article, they talk to him a little bit and they kind of catch up with him. It seems like he and his family got an RV and they started doing virtual reality church in that RV. Other stuff I found is that he seems to do streaming once a week of video games, and he seems to really love video games and development. He might do some of that full time, might supplement his income. But I also found that he seems to resist the idea of seminary or formal Bible training. And at one point he said something along the lines of it's just leading to pride and arrogance and that it's pretty much a waste. I mean, I get where he's coming from. You know, there are people that go to seminary and they come back with this ego like a Pharisee, but there's also a lot of people who go there and learn a lot about how to read the Bible and how to best communicate it. Which leads me to wondering, is his teaching any good? Well, it ain't looking great, that's for sure. I found my first red flag when I found an article where DJ is defending Joel Osteen, a pretty prominent televangelist and prosperity gospel guy. For those wondering about the prosperity gospel, it's this idea where if you're good enough and God's happy with you enough, you'll get rich and God's gonna give you a bunch of gifts, and God is basically this genie in a bottle that's gonna throw stuff at you. We don't see that reflected anywhere in scripture. We see ideas of where God allowed blessings to happen, but they were just stewarding those things. All of the disciples were broke. Jesus came as a carpenter to a very poor family, and We don't see them suddenly getting rich afterwards. Does that mean that we all are to be poverty-stricken and bad stewards of money? No, not at all. But that seems to be what DJ Soto thinks is the other side of this. In fact, he said the poverty gospel is a far worse problem than the prosperity gospel. He proceeds to take an Old Testament passage out of context that was about the Israelites in their situation and then apply it to us now and say, God is thinking of cooking up little gifts that he can give us. Oh boy. That's a huge red flag as a pastor when you're looking at a church and you realize this guy thinks that we should all be getting money, and I'm going to defend someone who really argues for that. I don't know that I want to give money for them to steward at their church, especially with a lack of transparency. My second red flag was seeing the virtual baptisms. I wish I was joking. I'm not. When we look at scripture, we see that baptism is this sacred thing, right? It's not saving, but it's something we're told to do. And it's a physical thing. It's a physical thing where we are showing other people that we've placed our faith in Jesus. We see some more verses taken out of context talking about the different types of baptism, but then we see kind of when it comes to what we know baptism as today, he's like, well, it doesn't save you, so it's okay if it's virtual. Well, how about the verse, if you love me, you keep my commandments, DJ? One of those is to physically be baptized, not because it's this idea of a saving thing, but because it's an ordinance. It's something that we hold sacred and we take it seriously. So don't make it this weird joke in your virtual church, buddy. To me, those two things are big enough that it shows a mishandling of scripture happening from this guy. It appears to be what happens when you read the Bible and you're looking for it to say something, so you twist and apply any sort of sentence you can to make it say what you want it to say so that you can do your own idea. Now, you can go look at all of this yourself. I'm talking from my own personal stance. This is all public information. I would not attend his church, and no, I wouldn't give to it either. Now, pause for a second. Do I think VR is a valuable tool? Yeah. There's a lot of really interesting studies out there where it's talking about people getting over their fears and things by being in a more safe environment, and it helping with anxiety in these weird ways that they're studying still. But we also have some bad stuff too. For example, I read an article where a guy became so immersed in Fallout 4 that he was having a hard time having conversations with people in person because he was just so deep in on the VR stuff. So he had to tame it back, and they did a kind of study around him and showed that there were some real repercussions. In fact, there's a study that happened back in the 90s when VR was just an idea, where they put mice in a VR environment, and it showed that their brains kind of worked differently and they were slower in some ways. There's also studies about heightened aggression from prolonged VR because it's not real and people are feeling a little unguarded. We just act different when we're in person with people. In fact, here's a clip where PD and I decided to visit a McDonald's in Rec Room, and I think it's fair to say that this would not happen in person.
This is not like the VR chat one.
Dude, I just got hit by a car too.
I can't close that door. I don't have the power to. Stop.
I have a job. Bye.
Can I have one burger, please?
Sorry. I need to get a job.
PD, I don't think they want to give us a burger. Can I have a burger, please? There it is. I got my burger.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to
Wait, no, we don't have fries. I'm sorry.
You kid with bacon.
Don't have you.
super bright over here. What's going on?
So yeah, we don't act the same. You know, PD wouldn't normally stand on a McDonald's counter and yell at a child employee, but it can be a powerful tool. Do I think there needs to be some Christian presence in these avenues? Yeah, I do. We saw that with live streams and churches during the COVID stuff, and I think it's cool if people want to use this as some sort of little outreach or a way to direct people to an in-person gathering even. Because here's the main point. We don't want to give up in-person church. Hebrews 12:25 even says that we shouldn't neglect meeting with each other. Some might argue that VR is still meeting and that live streams count, but again, do they? PD, how do you feel like you know Christian at this point virtually?
Virtually, I know Christian to be a mouse and a bearded woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like I don't know the real Christian at all. If I saw him in the street, I wouldn't know who he was.
That's fair. Christian, on the other hand, where do you find your landing in like the how you feel? Oh,
Christian's gone.
I mean, he didn't even. He's out, dude. He didn't want to do this anymore. I guess that answers that question. Back in Paul's day, letters were the current technology, and we know that Paul wrote the best letters because they were inspired by the Holy Spirit and put in Scripture. Yet we get this really interesting verse from Paul. Paul says in Romans 1:11-12, "For I long to see you, that I may impart to you some spiritual gift to strengthen you." Paul is writing to them saying, like, I just really want to be with you. I want to be with you in person. The letters were not sufficient as a replacement for him, and he also believed that there was something missing when they weren't in person. Paul truly felt it isn't exchangeable. The church is the group of people living in community with each other. People will argue saying, what about the shut-ins? Yes, live stream's awesome for them to hear a message, but have you thought about visiting them? Community brings accountability, and you get to know each other. And what we're finding is that people aren't being their authentic selves mostly on VR. I didn't even feel like myself in VR. Be careful. Don't give into this idea that church is replaceable and that in-person with people is replaceable. Go get to know people. Use these things as tools to point people towards good accountability and being in person. I'm exhausted. Again, do your own study on this. Come to your own conclusions. It's all public information. I'm just a guy on YouTube. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, go ahead and subscribe. Join the channel. I'll be coming out with more stuff like this as per usual. Thanks to my patrons for being a supportive group that helped this video even become possible. And I'll see you in the next video.